Alright, I'm gonna get right into this. Okay, so I've been wanting to do a video now about, the stuff that I did for Serial Killer magazine, right? Um, I was completely going in the opposite directions as the stuff I was doing for, like, say, Radio Comics and Antarctic Press, and I was doing these. I want to say from 2007 to 2009, right? It's about 2 years I was churning these things out, and they were unlike anything else that I've done before because there was no limitations on it because I was doing this art of true crime, and I was going for visceral, right to the gut, mass murder, but I was putting my own spin on it. Yeah, I'm gonna get right into this. Okay, so the first art piece that I'm gonna share here is Rostov Ripper's Red Massacre. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Rostov Ripper's Red Massacre. Okay, so this piece was about Andrei Chikatilo from Russia. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. This is me. Mickmo Unleashed. I could just do whatever I wanted to do with it, and I put a lot of caricature elements in it, but realism too, and it's got a lot of that in this art piece. So this is the first art piece that I'm going to share on the video that I'm doing. So you see him, and he's kind of like in the winter, making that evil smirk, the evil grimace, and he's out in the cold, So you think something like Siberia or cold part of Russia, the Rostov Ripper. He was also called he was also called the Butcher of Rostov and the Red Ripper. And I almost thought about making it where it was the Red Ripper's Red Massacre, but that didn't make any sense. So it was just Rostov Ripper's Red Massacre, and I kind of put it in a take of like the Russian lettering. So yeah, when I was doing these art pieces, I didn't put my slashy signature, but I just went for it. I just went for this just crazy fucking details in it. So by the Rostov Ripper's foot is the hammer and sickle. You identify that with Russia, and there's like dead contorting bodies, right? And I did this thing where I could have made the blood black, but I kind of took like a Frank Miller turn on this one, right? And I just went for it. I just so realism in the face. So somebody told me, they said, this kind of looks like Picard from Star Trek. It kind of does, but I put my own like little madness type spin on it, and so he's and there's a lot of light and dark in it. I took a lot of that design element into it, and it's like a 1990s element for me, So it kind of looks like a 1990s noir type piece. Yeah, I like this one. It's that's a cool art piece for me. Yeah, Andrei Chikatilo. Andrei Chikatilo. I want to make sure I get that right. Okay, and I'm sitting here looking on Wikipedia, right? And I had to scroll down. Sound effects. Scroll down a little more. Okay. And victims, right? Okay, you scroll down, he's had all these victims, and there's probably victims that, you know, they didn't record, so I'm gonna try not to screw up that factoid, but says on his Wikipedia he's got 53 victims, you know, and you know, this dude was crazy. This dude was freaking nuts. But yeah, I mean, he's not the first serial killer I did for Serial Killer Magazine. No, I think the first one that I did was I think it was Charles Manson. I think it was Charlie Manson. And then there's going to be one that comes up. I think my most talked about art piece for Serial Killer Magazine is had to have been Jeffrey Dahmer, but this I think I did this after Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Because I think I did like 28 to 30 key pieces, and including a color art piece. Yeah, I just threw in the details, you know. So if I wanted to draw in a bone, I drew in the bone, you know. And what it is just, you know, design elements. That's all it is. But intricacy, intricate. Yeah. So you see him holding this knife. The knife is like dripping incessantly with blood. And then you see like dashes of snow, and yeah, I mean, you know, my art was at an all new level when I did this, because yeah, I mean, I just went for it. I just and these are the most popular art pieces, you know, well over a decade later. Yeah, I mean people seek these things out. I mean, and I love drawing them. You know, as crazy as that seems, I love drawing the exaggeration, and you know, the bow-leggedness, and you know, underneath Andre Chikatilo's feet, you see these knives, right? You know, like little switchblades, or you know. And then there's kind of a naughty part in there. I'm not gonna, you know, but yeah, it's there, you know. But you know, the endless details you could put in these things. I love doing these art pieces, you know. So that's the first one, Rostov Ripper's Red Massacre from 2008. Hope you dig it. That's it. More Mickmo art descriptions to come. There you go. Yay! Yay! Hooray! Alright, I'm gonna get right into this. Okay, so I've been wanting to do a video now about, you know, the stuff that I did for Serial Killer Magazine, right? You know, I was completely going in the opposite directions as the stuff I was doing for, like, say, Radio Comics and Antarctic Press, and I was doing these. I want to say from 2007 to 2009, right? It's about 2 years I was churning these things out, and you know, they were unlike anything else that I've done before, because there was no limitations on it because, well, I mean, I was doing this art of true crime, and I was going for visceral, right to the gut, mass murder, but I was putting my own spin on it. So yeah, I'm gonna get right into this. Okay, so the first art piece that I'm gonna share here is Rostov Ripper's Red Massacre. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Rostov Ripper's Red Massacre. Okay, so this piece was about Andrei Chikatilo from Russia. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. This is me. Mickmo Unleashed. I could just do whatever I wanted to do with it, and I put a lot of caricature elements in it, but realism too, and it's got a lot of that in this art piece. So this is the first art piece that I'm going to share on the video that I'm doing. So you see him, and he's kind of like in the winter, making that evil smirk, the evil grimace, and he's out in the cold, So you think something like Siberia, or a cold part of Russia, the Rostov Ripper. He was also called he was also called the Butcher of Rostov and the Red Ripper. And I almost thought about making it where it was the Red Ripper's Red Massacre, but that didn't make any sense. So it was just Rostov Ripper's Red Massacre, and I kind of put it in a take of like the Russian lettering. So yeah, when I was doing these art pieces, I didn't put my slashy signature, but I just went for it. I just went for this just crazy fucking details in it. So by the Rostov Ripper's foot is the hammer and sickle. You identify that with Russia, and there's like dead contorting bodies, right? And I did this thing where I could have made the blood black, but I kind of took like a Frank Miller turn on this one, right? And I just went for it. I just so realism in the face. So somebody told me, they said, this kind of looks like Picard from Star Trek. It kind of does, but I put my own like little madness type spin on it, and so he's and there's a lot of light and dark in it. I took a lot of that design element into it, and well, it's like a 1990s element for me, So it kind of looks like a 1990s noir type piece. Yeah, I like this one. It's that's a cool art piece for me. Yeah, Andrei Chikatilo. Andrei Chikatilo. I want to make sure I get that right. Okay, and I'm sitting here looking on Wikipedia, right? I had to scroll down. Sound effects. Scroll down a little more. Okay. And victims, right? Okay, you scroll down, he's had all these victims, and there's probably victims that they didn't record, so I'm gonna try not to screw up that factoid, but says on his Wikipedia he's got 53 victims, and this dude was crazy. This dude was fucking nuts. But yeah, I mean, he's he's not the first serial killer I did for Serial Killer magazine. No, I think the first one that I did was I think it was Charles Manson. I think it was Charlie Manson. And then there's going to be one that comes up. I think my most talked about art piece for Serial Killer magazines had to have been Jeffrey Dahmer, but this I think I did this after Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Because I think I did like 28 to 30 key pieces, and including a color art piece. Yeah, yeah, I just threw in the details, you know. So if I wanted to draw in a bone, I drew in the bone, you know. And what it is just, you know, design elements. That's all it is. But intricacy, intricate, intricate, intricate. Yeah. So you see him holding this knife. The knife is like dripping incessantly with blood. And then you see like dashes of snow, and yeah, I mean, you know, my art was at an all new level when I did this, because yeah, I mean, I just went for it. I just and these are the most popular art pieces, you know, well over a decade later. Yeah, I mean, people seek these things out. I mean, and I love drawing them. You know, as crazy as that seems, I love drawing the exaggeration, and you know, the bow-leggedness, and you know, underneath Andre Chikatilo's feet, you see these knives, right? You know, like little switchblades, or you know. And then there's kind of a naughty part in there. I'm not gonna, you know, but yeah, it's there. You know, but you know, the endless details you could put in these things. I love doing these art pieces. You know, so that's the first one. Rostov Ripper's Red Massacre from 2008. Hope you dig it. That's it. More Mickmo art descriptions to come. There you go. Yay! Yay! Hooray! All right. I'm just gonna get to the second art piece here that I drew, and I had to do these art pieces a certain way for Serial Killer magazine, because I wasn't doing the cover art, so you know, I was doing this art for a guy named James Gilkes. I'm gonna I'm gonna butcher that name up like my serial killer art. Okay, but yeah, okay. So this is the second art piece that I want to share in a video form. You know, the night killings of Ramirez. So this one centers around Richard Ramirez, and you know, so he was into things like the occult, and you know, things of that like, and he was a serial killer, and you know, this I loved working on this true crime stuff. You know, I'm sitting here looking at his Wikipedia, and try not to butcher that up either, but you know, it said Ramirez began using LSD at 14 years old. Crazy shit, man. I mean, you know, And so the info on the side saying, he had 19 death sentences, and he died before his execution. So he had 13 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, 11 counts of sexual assault, and then 14 counts of burglary. Yeah, and this guy was off the chains, apparently. But again, I was going for this thing, and it had never been kind of done before in the serial killer magazine art. And again, this is one of my better pieces. I really feel like it is. So when I was drawing these things, I actually did this stuff in so if I wanted to get the details of the faces, like Richard Ramirez here, right? I did them in pen and ink, and then I went for pencil, and that's how I achieve the effects. So it's grayscale. The only thing I wish I would have done a little better on these is I was working on a smaller computer scanning these things in, but James, the serial killer magazine guy, for some reason he knew how to make these things huge, and I suck at that. I do it. Yeah, I mean, but for what he did with the serial killer magazine stuff, it came out really good looking resolution. I mean, it came out the same way you see it in this video, right? And so Richard Ramirez, in the back there's like a devil, and and inverted crosses, and death and the serpent, and it's his mindset, so he's got the look. He had to have the look of no facial expressions whatsoever, and I believe rest in peace, Anna Rocket. I think she was one of the ones that kind of persuaded me into doing this one, and I said, I don't think that's a bad idea. So again, I was going for the design elements, darker elements. Not all my art pieces are dark, but for this kind of stuff, it was fine. It was like, so he's got the pentagram drawn in his palm. I took the old art techniques that I used to do in art college, figure drawing, life drawing, whatever, and I was more meticulous with everything, including the hands and the muscles and the facial expressions, but I was doing these I was doing these art pieces before I did the Conan O'Brien stuff, and it's just fascinating to just look at these art pieces again, and that's what I was going for, is intricate details, and I had some pretty I had some pretty when I did the art pieces of the serial killer, I got a flack. I got flack for a few of them, but this one wasn't one of them. For some reason, people like this one. So I think it's one of my better ones, especially in Richard Ramirez's face, where he's just no expression, he's just harnessing the evil that he's doing to these people. And so I'm gonna get back onto the Wikipedia. So it says he's got 18 victims, or 17, something like that. Yeah, I'm not gonna go through all of this. Capture, trial and conviction. And I don't know. When I look at the pictures in the Wikipedia, and I'm kind of channeling into the older Richard Ramirez, and I can see that. I was trying to draw his neck a certain way, and I was trying to just achieve what I had to achieve, and that's how I did these art pieces. Pretty revolutionary stuff, and people still dig these art pieces. That darkness. Well, I'm not a dark person, but the insanity that you can channel through just by reading these people's descriptions, right? And there's some that I just can't show off in a video because I don't want to get banned or nothing. Shit. But being banned sucks anyway. But yeah, that's another video altogether. But yeah, I could just reach the cutting edges of what I was doing in these art pieces, and I'm so glad James allowed me to do it in this particular way, because yeah, I mean it's revolutionary. Just to do something like that. Something you would see like on like a Dateline now, right? So I record this thing in mid-October 2021, right? The stuff that they show on True Crime Network. Well, there was no True Crime Network back then, but people still love this stuff, and I still have it on my DeviantArt archives, my art archives, and people seek this stuff out. I mean, and it's just, it's a different side of me. It's the side of me that says, this isn't me, but what if this were me? Yeah, I mean, but you're tapping into this thing, this darker void. Well, yeah, I mean, I was in a different place, different time. I just moved out of a place, and I was in and out of homes. I was then I got my own home, and this stuff came about before the Conan stuff. Well, apparently there was a few Conan higher ups that still like this stuff, and so it's remarkable. I mean, but hopefully it'll endure all time and space. I hope it does. It better. Well, that's about it from me on this, and we'll go right into this next art piece. And I'm gonna include descriptions of my DeviantArt link, and I mean, you can see these art pieces a little more in detail, right? But yeah, that's it. And now off to the races with the next art piece of my serial killer art magazine stuff. Whee! And on Halloween, on October 2021, there you go. Boys and girls. Okay, folks. Okay, who's ever watching this video? Okay, so I'm gonna go into the third art piece that I did for Serial Killer magazine. Now, I'm shuffling all of these art pieces in order. If you want to go see my uncensored stuff, it's on my DeviantArt site, and all you gotta do is you know, go artist Mickmo, or I'm just gonna include a link for that. So again, I got into another Russian serial killer, and this one is about Alexander Pikushkin. He's called the chessboard killer, or the Bitsa Park Maniac, or the Bitsa Maniac. Okay, so I'm on the Wikipedia now, and it shows this real disturbing man, you know, slightly older. Well, and you know, with the Rostov Ripper, I was going for the older representation, but with this one, I believe I was going for the younger type person, you know, and just, you know, the Bitsa Park Maniac, and okay, so his victims are 48 to 60, span of crimes, July 27th, 1992. To June 14th, 2006, and he's from Russia. So again, I was going for kind of another bookend, kind of like the bookends of Blood, but more like the bookends of serial killers in Russia. So again, I went with the same font as I used in Rostov Ripper. You know, Mickmo 2009, because I was doing this art around the same time, and I was just unleashed. I was, you know, different time, different space. I was, you know, I was listening to a lot of gore metal, you know, death metal, and it really shows in these art pieces. So you know, I was going for something different and something better, and you know, and yeah, I mean, so I'm gonna get into this, you know, distracting cat and all. Jet, pipe down, okay. Pichushkin's checkmate killings. So it shows him on the side, you know, expressionless face, right? The Mickmo, you know, the patented Mickmo stuff, right? And you know, the chess pieces, you know, and below it is like the crime area. So, you know, you see a skull and vodka, and that's what it is. I mean, not my absolute most popular piece, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, right. You know, the grayscale, and victims, couple victims in there. I guess it was one of my more simple art pieces. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, you know, like I said, the other art pieces are my DeviantArt. Yeah, so there you go. There you go. Okay, moving on with the serial killer artwork that I've done. Yeah, I was doing these art pieces in a forthright, right? And yeah, so this one that I'm including in this video is BTK Killer's Psychotic Madness from 2008. Yeah, so I drew Dennis Rader from Kansas. That's only a state away from me. I've been to Kansas. I've been to Wichita a couple times. Yeah, so you know, the BTK Killer, bind, torture, kill, according to the Wikipedia, or you know, just the BTK Killer. And this one was more of a, you know, I don't want to say it was my most popular one, but it's one of the ones that people tend to look at a little more. You know, Wichita, Kansas. Hadn't been up there in a while. Well, you know, as of this recording, I've been kind of doctoring my my leg and my neck because and I had a mass kidney stone kind of thing, but yeah, and that's why I'm recording tonight. You know, 10/13/2021. Yeah, but this one was a little more. I don't want to say sloppy, but I'm gonna say abrasive. It's you know, so it's kind of that theme of, you know, this guy's in the basement, and I drew a lot of bow legs, right? Bow-legged type characters. Well, I'm walking on a cane now, so I'm kind of bow-legged. So I probably look like that in real life. I don't know. And you know, bind, torture, kill. So he's kind of in this basement somewhere, and you know, it's a departure from all the other ones. So again, I was doing it the same style. 2008, I did this art piece. You know, and you know, it's kind of a hunched back Dennis Rader, and you know, his face is that mugshot from you know, it's the mugshot. So if, you know, you Google in BTK Killer, and that's what comes up. So you know, you see like a CD and you know, things by the feet, like you know, like old VCR type tapes by the lady, by the woman. I believe I drew her to match one of the victims or whatever, or something to that effect, you know. Again, when I was doing this art stuff, you know, it was pretty revolutionary stuff. I was going for, you know, murder. I was going for you know, visceral, and I was probably listening to a lot of death metal. So I'm sure I was listening to like Cannibal Corpse, or you know, whatever. Oh, I know another one I was listening to. The county medical examiners from Relapse Records. Yeah. So I just tossed in these elements. This is one of my more cleaner, if I want to call it cleaner. It's abrasive, but it's cleaner than, say, like, my Ted Bundy art piece, or my Ed Gein art piece. Oh my gosh, the Ed Gein one was crazy as fuck. I mean, there's just no other way to describe it. And I went into this place, and it was like, but this is reality. This is true crime, and but it could be that way. It could totally be that way. That's what made these pieces so different than anything else I've ever done. I've done religious stuff. I've done heavenly type stuff, and but that's the thing about me. It's like I can mix it up in so many various forms and art pieces and subject matter. Well, this of course this was like dark subject matter, but that's where I was going for with it. Um, okay, I was going to this local place that was giving me like Seroquel and Zoloft, right? And the lady said, "Oh, it's perfectly fine if you do these art pieces the way you do them. No, it's fine. You're not harming anybody." I was like, "Okay, lady. Okay, doctor. Just give me my prescription, and I'll just go from there." So I get my prescriptions, and I don't know. I was thinking about these compositions like all the time, but in such a way to where it was like it was different than anything else I'd done. Well, I kind of put shades of that into my the death metal Bunny Brigade stuff for Furlough, but this one just the serial killer art in the serial killer magazine, it just flips it on its edge completely. So I wasn't drawing any bunnies here. It's just it is what it is, and it's just so I'm recording this stuff at the dead of night. Yeah, I mean it's about 11:10. 1110 code, but I tell you what, I mean these serial killers that I did, it took it to a different corrosive level, but that's what I wanted from it. I think if I was doing these art pieces now, I would throw in more craziness, psychosis, psychoticness. There would be even more of that, but it was just another phase I was going through, and I'm glad I did what I did with it. Dennis Rader. Yeah, I liked drawing that one. There was a Bob Berdella one that I really liked doing. So it was around that time. So Bob Berdella. But I think one of my peaks. Actually, I had two peaks. I think it was the Jeffrey Dahmer piece that I did, right? And then I did this Columbine piece. Well, I got so much flack for that, folks. Oh my god. I don't know. I was trying to put some kind of Mad Magazine type element to, but make it more disturbing. Just make it more. It's crazy because they show this thing called the True Crime Network, and the most vicious serial killers, right? And it's weird because this stuff was kind of like a I want to say a prophecy, but of what's to come or what came. And it's just it's fascinating. It's just, I was juggling a lot of psychosis as well with this stuff, and that was a great way to channel the psychosis that I was, going through with, moves and, in-laws that didn't want me, or, and it was an interesting thing, and I was doing these pieces kind of like in intervals. So if I wanted to do a radio comics short story, 4-pager, whatever, I just did it that way. But then I could say, okay, well, this incorporates a lot more in the course of like realism and caricature. I put a lot of caricature in it, but the evil, right? I'm not an evil person if you're listening to this, but but it taps into this thing where it's like, and people are just fascinated with serial killers. Just fascinated. And I hope I preserved it. I mean, yeah, I like drawing the old television set, old black and white television set, and old school antennas on the. Yeah, I used to have an antenna like that, so that's where that comes from, and yeah, it's those old tube television sets. Yeah, I miss those, especially in a flat screen era. But I drew the lady, and she's an older lady. And it just is what it is. It's just, yeah, gruesome, but people like gruesome, So yeah. Just when you think the art can be, something great, flip it on its head and it can be something better. Yeah. So, that's going to be it for the Dennis Rader. There you go. Moving on. Okay, here we go, folks. Here we go. Okay, so this art piece. Yeah, I think in terms of the serial killer magazine stuff, for some reason, David Berkowitz, he might have seen this art piece that I did, serial killer art type stuff, and so he was in the news, and he was, saying, well, I disagree with the, having this kind of stuff out there, So, and again, I'm thinking he might have seen this art piece, or somebody got him a copy, or I don't know this story on all of its detail, but okay, so I'm gonna share this. I think it's one of my more popular art pieces, as far as the serial killer magazine stuff goes, and this got in a serial killer magazine. I think right now they are on issue 27, and I still get a credit for it. It's just amazing, I get a back cover credit, because I was involved in these magazines, and it's pretty fascinating stuff, and And for some reason, it's not for everybody, but when I was doing David Berkowitz, I really think it's one of my personal favorites. So it's easily in my top 10. Easily top 10. So he's kind of in this old kind of ruins type, like New York kind of setting. I've never been to New York, folks, and I've only drawn New York in my art a few times. When we get back to the Conan art, it looks good in New York, so I drew it kind of like as a fantasy. But in the Son of Sam's Evil Murders art piece from 2009, I drew it just absolutely cruddy, and I kind of was going for a certain thing where it was like, I drew Son of Sam kind of like a weird kind of, I don't know, kind of retro type looking thing. So he's got the kooky butterfly butterfly collar. he's got the crazy butterfly collar, and he's so he kind of looks like Saturday Night Fever. And he also kind of looks like kind of like Andrew Dice Clay. Yeah, I mean, and I love drawing that building. It was just kind of a rectangular building, kind of like a slum. So I drew it like that, and yeah, and all these kind of dead body victims type thing, and but the thing you'll notice is the bulldog, the bulldog. Yeah, somebody was all like, "Oh, should you be drawing that?" And I was like, "Well, you see stuff like that all the time on comedy memes or whatever, where dogs whizzing, and it's just, well, it's kind of like a demon dog, so there's like a little impy little imp demon on this thing, and I just kind of stuck it in there for humor's sake, yeah, and yeah, I mean that's a pretty cool art piece. David Berkowitz. I think it's one of my better art pieces for Serial Killer magazine. I did so many, and I did them in such a style, in such a way. Well, the publisher wanted, he wanted more, of course, but I was kind of in this certain kind of time frame, right? Berkowitz has kind of the bow-legged kind of thing, the stance. It's kind of a parody of Saturday Night Fever. It's just, and I like the way I drew the revolver. The it's an old school kind of revolver, and he's kind of in the slums of New York. I don't know, what would you say, like the Bronx or whatever, whatever slummy part they have. I guess every part's kind of got a slummy part, no matter where you go. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I took that right off of his mugshot, and I just kind of incorporated it in there, and the whole thing about the dog, and stuff like that, and crazy shit. But he's one of the more known ones. No, I think the one that I got the most flack for was the Columbine piece. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm not into that shit at all, but again, I was just, that art part of me, that visceral side of me, just doing different things and just doing, you know, it's it was a great way to kind of like, uh, pent up angers and frustrations and kind of put this little weird spin on it where you kind of make it, goofy, like Mad Magazine, or I'm sorry, Cracked Magazine. I was just going for it. I was freaking going for it, and this uh, Son of Sam's Evil Murders, 2009. Yeah, that's about the time I moved into a new place, and I hardly had anything. I barely watched television back then, and my greatest television was my mind. My greatest TV was my imagination. So, I might stick a few of these in my art book. It's just a different side of my art. I mean, there's so many different sides of my art, and that's the great thing about doing the artwork is, there should never be any boundaries in the artwork, and once you start stepping into like the restrictions, right? You just kind of open up a can of worms like that. And I really believe that. But yeah, you know, it's cool because these art pieces were intended to be grayscale. They were intended to be black and white. Kind of like old movies. But that's cool. That's I wouldn't have it any other way. Some art pieces are a different thing altogether. But yeah, I enjoyed this phase of my artwork because it was nothing else like I'd ever done. It was nothing else, and that's what I went for. And they still resonate with people. I'm forever grateful. I mean, in some crazy some crazy sicko way, but what it's just they are what they are. There you go. There you go. Alright, so this is going to be the last serial killer that I drew of my own makings, my own hands, right? Uh, and this one tends to be my most popular. It tends to be the one that, yeah, it just tends to be the most popular one. Well, I knew this guy in Switzerland. I'm gonna say his name's Dan. He loved my serial killer art, but I never wanted to part with this original, and I kept the original. I totally did, and so I sold him 3 of my art pieces. I can't remember what I sold him. I believe I sold him my Jim Jones one with the wacky evil Kool-Aid Man, and I can't remember the other 2 that I sent him. But okay, he ordered this pillow, and it's Jeffrey Dahmer pillow, and I was like, you ordered that? And the years went by. I was like, and I should have ordered that pillow, because for some reason, when I did Dahmer's Kitchen of Murder in 2008, I was going through this crazy time where I was babysitting 6 children. Okay, not just 6 children, but I'm gonna say 5 homicidal children. So they're always chasing each other with like knives, and I was trying to just get by, and I was just, it was ugly. It's just, one mother and 6 children, right? And I was like, this is the art piece that came out, and I think I did this art piece in like a week and a half. I did this art piece in like a week and a half. So didn't take me any longer than 2 weeks, because okay, the refrigerator is basically my refrigerator when I moved into this place that I've been in now. And I've been in this place for 15 years. Well, that's my refrigerator. and you see Jeffrey Dahmer, and he's holding the sickle, the Grim Reaper sickle. And it's just, it's a classic piece from me. It's a classic art piece, and this piece, I think, as far as it's easily in my top 3 as far as the upvoted art pieces in my DeviantArt, right? And I just went crazy with this, and the CD that I was listening to at the time was a band called Macabre, and the CD's called Dahmer, and it goes through his entire life in song, and I think it's like 45 minutes long. I could be mistaken, right? Something like that. Something like that. And what better one to do? And Dahmer's pretty infamous. If you know your facts about Dahmer, he's pretty infamous, and that's how I learned about him, was through the CD from Macabre. It was called Dahmer. Everybody do the Dahmer. He's had this crazy, crazy life. I say, as far as serial killers went, he's top 5 for me. Top 5, and I had to get this right. I had to, and I think I ended up getting it right, And this took, if I remember right, this took up an entire page in Serial Killer magazine, and yeah, I mean it's and it's basically my refrigerator, and I said, well, how am I gonna draw that? I put the candy reference on, gore splattered blood type things, because of course, Jeffrey Dahmer was working at a chocolate factory, right? Real sicko, but he could put on that face where he looked normal. He just, he was automatically disguised in, society, so he fit in, but he was doing all this crazy shit. And so in the refrigerator, I got like, decapitated head, and this jug of whatever, probably like gasoline or whatever he injected in a victim's body or whatever. I mean, crazy shit, but this guy existed, true evil. I mean, just true evil, but but women still love him. Yeah, they do. It's like, trying to, it's wild. I mean, and I decided just to save the best for last on this art video that I'm doing, because I approached it a certain way. I mean, it's definitely my own, and I mean, he looks so demonic in it. He looks pretty psychotic and devoid of emotions, and but it all gets back to that Dahmer CD, where it's just a crazy CD, but that's how I approach this thing. And it's like I said, I'm a composition stickler, but as far as these serial killer magazine things go, I was this ultimate stickler of sticklers, because there's a follow-up to the Dahmer's Kitchen of Murder, and it's called Dahmer's I think it's called Regurgitated or something like that. So it's more of a visceral background on it, and it's got all the crazy shit and the crazy parts. Again, this probably is not a family video, but of course not. It's these people existed. I mean, these people, and it taps into a different side of the mind and the brain, and it's like they're sickos. And yeah, I kind of remember when they were showing stuff about this serial killer on all these cheesy like a Current Affair or whatever, and this guy is Jeffrey Dahmer, and they would describe what he did on TV, and they were like, oh, atrociousness and all this, the way the way the media plays it up. Well, you're talking like a pre-COVID type thing, and they were really playing this stuff up, and that's how he passed away, if I remember right. The guy's name who killed Dahmer was Christopher Scarver, and he took a bludgeoned weight from the prison weight room. He just pummeled this guy. And okay, on the Wikipedia, Jeffrey Dahmer says 17 victims, right? 17, but there was way more victims than that, But this was like the confirmed stuff, so I don't want to get that wrong. But I'm just going by descriptions that, and I was kind of going by that too with my DeviantArt, and, some guy, some kid or whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna get into it. Well, it wasn't a hammer, so to speak, because it was more like a drill, or and it's like, oh my goodness, and he get on my DeviantArt, just pouring the details. So this guy really knew about Jeffrey Dahmer, apparently. He read some novels on this guy. I tell you what, yeah, I mean, craziness, craziness. But, studying him, I was studying Jeffrey Dahmer in high school, I was studying serial killers in high school, and, they were basically telling me, they're sick, but their minds are wired completely different from, say an average normal mind human being. But Dahmer was, I don't know. When I did him, I was going through a crazy time. I was going through just craziness in my life. Just trying to keep it together, keep it under wraps, normal. But once I engaged myself in this art piece, that's when all the craziness came out. And so toss the skull on the top of the refrigerator, and there's like a liver or pancreas on the top of that refrigerator. I made sure I put 213 like his apartment number. I probably should have drew a little more crazy. It's been a while since I've drawn any sort of serial killer, because I went through my phases, right, with the artwork, but this was something that I could take on completely raw. It's just raw, and it's visceral, gory kind of stuff that and Serial Killer magazine published me. Did get a little bit of money for it, but I wasn't really going for that, believe it or not. Some people's motives are like they're just in it for the cash, the bucks. But sometimes I used to see art pieces, right, in the so-called comic shows of life or whatever, and they weren't me. They just didn't do it for me. It's just mediocre shit, and what I wanted to do was, again, turn the art world on its head somehow. Do these art pieces, and if I was angry or frustrated or just having a terrible week or terrible month or terrible day for that matter, I just went into it just so differently. And when when I did it, I was kind of loose at first, and Dahmer's probably my definitive art piece for Serial Killer magazine, and and a lot of people like that art piece, so definitely was not a Conan art piece, because I wouldn't have been thinking about Conan O'Brien at the time, but my art goes through different phases like that all the time, and it's very deep, it's very cerebral, and for that, it's just, and you look at Jeffrey Dahmer's pants, the way I drew them, right? I just went for a certain thing, so, dark black pants, kind of slouching, kind of a sloppiness. I think I would have done the feet out a little more, like the pieces that were the later pieces. I'm gonna say this was about the, I don't know, 5th to 7th art piece that I did for Serial Killer magazine. Yeah, I mean, it's just it just took a life of its own. It took a life of its own when I did these art pieces, and I'm so glad I did them the way I did them, because and there's no other way I could have done them other than what you see in front of you, in this video. And well, I thought, okay, I'm just gonna put the completed art pieces, and maybe in another video I'm gonna show off, more of the details in, the serial killer stuff. But yeah, that's all I had was pencil and pen and ink. So like a Micron 05, right? And I think I was doing this on a rough kind of Strathmore paper, so 8.5 by 11, right? And I was just going for a look. I mean, it was just, I knew what it had to be. Because yeah, this I was dealing with a group called the CCN, Comics Creators Networks, and I shouldn't be saying the guy's name, but Stinson, okay, he was drawing the serial killers too, but it's kind of in a pulpy kind of style, and I just remember I was just so, like, I don't know, I don't want to say hatred, but just I was so fed up with the way the artwork was being presented, right? And I said, no, I could do better than this guy, or I can do better than my former publisher, Then one day I found this thing online for Serial Killer magazine. Well, originally started as Serial Killer calendar, but I was like, yeah, a magazine. I was like, yeah, and these things got in the Barnes and Noble, and yeah, that's another derivative story I could tell you about this. I was in an old Barnes and Noble that didn't exist anymore. Well, I was sitting across from this hipster guy, and I was like, dude, I'm into this. I was like, this is awesome. And the Barnes and Noble didn't want me to sign any books, or they didn't want me, and this hipster guy was kind of being flamboyant or whatever. And my ex was like, you did it. I mean, you got art into serial killer magazine. But before I got into serial killer magazine, I got a few art pieces into Metal Maniacs, and that was the kind of stuff I loved and liked. I don't know if you want to call it lifestyle type stuff, but it deviated from all this other stuff. Yeah. And again, Barnes and Noble was like, oh, I don't know, the employees or whatever. Well, I tell you what, that Barnes and Noble doesn't exist anymore, and it's a furniture place now. I miss that old Barnes and Noble, because I used to get some great magazines up there, and I couldn't afford buying my own artwork in a published form. But thank God, James from Serial Killer Magazine was like, "Oh, well, I'll send you two of them." I don't have a lot of money either, but when this thing got out, what did he send me? He sent me issue 3 and issue 4, and one of them had the Dahmer piece in it, and it was full size, and it looked amazing. I mean, well, all the art pieces looked amazing, even when they were cropped, even when they were like half of the art pieces. Well, it's like I said, the Ted Bundy art piece. He was kind of questionable on that, and I was like, dude, you got to print that one. Nobody's gonna care. It's Serial Killer Magazine, and again, it got printed, and I'm grateful for that. And I can't believe it's on the 27th issue now, and there's so many supplements that you can get. They're not that hard to find online. Amazon's got them, eBay's got them, but I say serialkillermagazine.com, and if you're really seeking this stuff that I drew, just say you want the Mickmo'S stuff, and I'm sure the guy will hook you up. Well, last time I was on the site, the Serial Killer magazine stuff, they had like bulk issues, and I think they were like $60 a piece, and I was like, well, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. But yeah, I did. I really just kind of poured my heart and soul into these art pieces at a time when, all these things were kind of against me, and I was trying to get my 3rd degree. I have a dual art degree. I have a dual art degree. Well, I was trying to get an art therapy degree, and I wasn't getting along with this psychologist teacher, right? And it was just different times. It was just like, but I'm glad I did these art pieces, for what it's worth. I was thinking that. I was like, I've been working on new stuff in 2021, right? I was like, well, what would I do as far as the serial killer kind of stuff? I think I would have done 2 art pieces for James of Serial Killer Magazine. I would have done the Granny Killer, right? And I would have done James Holmes, kind of like this homage to Batman, but it's like, it's not Batman. It's just, you know, it had been like in a theater and all of this stuff. God, I had gotten so much flack for that, you know, and anything related to like Denver art. After the Columbine thing, I was like, well, I'm just not gonna do anything related, to like Denver, and I'm kind of glad that I did that. But I did Bob Bordella. I did what's that guy's name? Yeah, the Kansas City doctor, James Robinson. That's right. And I approached it like, he was like Operation, the game of Operation. And yeah, I mean, there's so many avenues I could have taken the other stuff with, but I don't want to say I was burnt out with this. I could wake up again and have just the laser beam focus and be like, hey, well, I'll draw another serial killer. Hey, you never know. I mean, it's definitely possible. I think I would have done it differently in this era, than I would have done like 2008, 2009, whatever. And yeah, I mean, boy, I really get into some depths here with my stuff. But that's what my channel's meant to be. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm just gonna grant you my shaloms, and God bless each and every one of you for listening to this. True confessionals of, real artists, and that real artist is me. Yeah, I mean, I saved the best until last. But that's what it's all about. So, yeah, so, I say God bless each and every one of you for, whatever creative visions you have. Even if society just does not get you for it, society can shun you for it, but when it's in your heart and your soul, and you get that direction, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'd include some of these pieces in my personal art book that I've really been wanting to do, but yeah, so I think I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yeah, so to all of you who have listened to me, whatever language that you set this video at, many deep shaloms, many deep shaloms, and I'm just gonna leave it with a Ruach breath, R-U-A-C-H breath. So here you go. All right. I'm gonna call it a night. It's midnight, 10/14/2021. There you go, folks. Many shaloms to you all. One and many. Thank you very much. Bye. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Oh, goodbye. See ya. That's it. That's your recording. Yippee!